And with that, the second season is over. It has been 8 episodes that felt like they went by pretty fast, actually, even though the last episode was delayed by 1 more week. But now there's only like 4 or 5 episodes left that are going to be part of their own final season. We don't actually know exactly how many episodes they will be. We just assume it will be 4 or 5 episodes based on just how little of the story has to be left at this point. But more importantly, let's actually talk about this episode, this finale of the second season. I know the second season it had its ups, which is basically like the first 4 episodes. That was I think something that people actually liked quite a lot. I've seen some ratings. People rated the first 4 episodes quite highly. After it dipped a little bit, especially episode 6, which, let's just not talk about that episode ever again, okay? It's gonna be fixed for the Blu-ray, right? Instead, let's talk about this episode, which hopefully, after what we've seen before, they actually finished it this time, which, for the most part, they finished it, okay? But it still had a bunch of hiccups here and there when it came to actually finishing this episode. First off, like I said, the episode had to be delayed by a week, which I don't mind. I don't mind delays as long as you finish what you're doing, because I do not want to have an unfinished episode as the season finale. So it's good that they actually delayed it. However, they still didn't quite finish it in time for the Chinese subs, because apparently the people that do the official Chinese subs, they have a stricter deadline on when they want the episode delivered to their doorstep so that they can do the subs, unlike the English subs, which have a lot more lenient deadline on how long the showrunners can wait to actually give them the episode for the subs. So when the Chinese subbers wanted to have the episode, they didn't have the episode ready, so they delivered a half-finished episode with some of the scenes. I say half-finished, like mostly finished episode, but with some of the scenes in there, either repeated scenes from older episodes, or just repeated shots, stuff like that, or just low-quality shots, just to get something out of the door. And it's really quite obvious those were unfinished shots, but you know, those were that's what the version for the Chinese subs. We didn't see the Chinese subs over here. At least most people don't know Chinese, so this is not something that affected most of us. However, we got the one with the English subs, but there was a problem with the English subs. So the version that the English subbers got was a little bit problematic. Why? Because there are some monologues in this episode where there's like this theater scene where there's like a spotlight on a character, and then that character has like a monologue about something, okay? And apparently, this is something that I read from the anime Reddit. Someone said that if you look at the different audio files, like just the audio file for that, for the anime, and you look at the different channels in that audio file, you will notice that during the monologues, they cut back to a mono channel instead of a stereo channel, which is what you usually have for basically any sort of audio. And apparently that causes 2 things to happen. First off, during the official broadcast on TV, that caused the audio to just glitch out. So the audio was just glitched out during the official TV broadcast, which good fucking job. Secondly, for the subbers, apparently the programs that the subbers used, like Funimation used to replay the audio and like listen to the audio, didn't know what to do with mono channels, and they just didn't hear anything. So that when they subbed the episode, to them it sounded that like there just was no audio, or at least no talking during those scenes, and they didn't have time to ask about this and get it rectified, because you know, deadlines, and Shaft gives episodes out really late to EN subbers, so they only had like a few hours to get like the subs out, and the audio channel just didn't fucking work. So they didn't have anything, they couldn't do anything, they didn't hear the characters talking, so there are no subs for about half of the episode. So if you have the official Funimation subs, there's just no subs for half the episode, because Shaft fucked it up. Shaft fucked it up again. Okay, that's actually, all of these problems aside, all of these problems that are just Shaft being Shaft aside, let's talk about the episode. The episode was actually really good. It was maybe not one of the best. Maybe it was still a little bit constrained on its time, because, you know, I always say this, I said this for basically every single episode in the first season, that maybe we needed about twice as many episodes to actually get everything across. Like this right here should have also been like 2 episodes, but nah, they did it in 1 episode because they just don't have the time. But pacing problems aside, that, like I said, are basically a given at this point, If we put the facing problems aside, I think this episode was pretty alright. It did a pretty good job at making sure we actually understand Tsuruno. I say that as someone who has read the game story, and in the game story, I didn't really give that much of a shit about Tsuruno. Not because I disliked Tsuruno, I actually liked Tsuruno as a character. I thought, like, I just said that in the game, the entire arc, I'm not going to go into the details here because I have an entire separate video where I talk about game versus anime, which is, of course, the differences video that comes out in a few days after this. But I will at least say that compared to the games way of handling this, I felt a lot closer to Tsuruno as a character in the anime, and I liked that a lot more. So, to me personally, this episode was doing a pretty good job of making me feel for Tsuruno, especially at the point where she figures out that she actually killed Mel's witch, which, interesting enough, is something that she found out during the Memory Museum as a side effect. Like, of course, when she was shown those images from the Memory Museum, Mifuyu was showing her those images, she didn't even realize that she was basically just showing Tsuruno, like, hey, you actually killed Mel's witch. She actually figured that out by herself, Tsuruno did, and then she became a rumor, basically. But yeah, we figured that part out. We saved Tsuruno after that with a very heartfelt talk. And I said this before in the last episode, that Felicia was calling out to Yachio for not actually knowing people that well and just saying that she knows people well when she doesn't actually does. But this time it also showed that Felicia didn't see any of those visions, like any of that stuff that we saw in the theater scenes or whatever. Felicia didn't see any of that, and still Felicia actually understood Tsuruno really well as a character, because Felicia is actually like a really good friend to Tsuruno, at least. So that's shoutouts to Felicia, even though she still didn't really get to do that much in this episode. I still think it should have been Felicia that actually connects with Tsuruno and like basically tells everyone else, like, hey, you guys don't even fucking know Tsuruno. I know Tsuruno, right? But they connect to her. Then immediately afterwards, they save Mami as well. You can kind of tell that this is something that if they had more time, if they had 2 episodes, they would have like another half, the entire second half of the episode, of like an entire episode, would be just the like Madoka talking to the team, Homura probably talking to the team, Kyoko talking to the team, everyone else except Sayaka being like, hey, this is what Mami is actually like. Because like I said last episode, everyone actually knows Mami really well except Sayaka. Sayaka's like the only character that doesn't know Mami at all, and everyone else knows Mami like way better. So they kind of skipped that entire part and was like, Mami just says like 1 or 2 words to Sayaka, and Sayaka's like, now I know what Mami is like, and then it just works. Okay, so I guess that just works. I guess the hint, what they're like putting down, is more so that they look at how Yachio and Tsuruno were able to, Yachio and Iroha were able to save Tsuruno by realizing that Tsuruno's actually like just putting up like a strong front, and Sayaka's like, maybe Mami's like that too, or something like that. I guess that's like what they're hinting at, but it's really just skipped over really quickly because we don't have the time. We only have 1 episode to go through this and not 2 episodes, so we gotta get this finished. So we finish it up. Sayaka kills Mami. Oh no, actually she doesn't kill Mami, even though she hits the soul gem right in the... Oh, she hit the soul gem with her sword and doesn't actually kill. I guess she like stopped it like a millimeter in front of that. That's dangerous, Sayaka. You can't be doing that. You shouldn't like point your weapon at soul gems, dude. So they save the day. Madoka and Iroha fire at the big antenna thingy. Now, I'm not going to spoil stuff from the story, right? From the game story, I mean, but you might have heard that the 4th anniversary of My Record has happened recently. In the 4th anniversary, they released a Madoka Iroha Duo unit. And Madoka and Iroha Duo units, their super duper powerful attack is this attack that we see right here in the anime. It's almost like they reference the game very deliberately here. But more on that in the differences video after this. So then the witches run away. Mami gets carried home by her ex-girlfriend Rei, and then everyone's like, we need to actually end this, right? There's like Toka and Nemo, they're right in there. Let's figure it out. Koro exists, so Koro, she exists, and moving on with this next scene, we have Toka talking to Iroha, and Toka's like, who even are you? Because Toka still doesn't actually quite remember Iroha from the hospital, but Nemo does. Nemo still remembers everything, so Nemo is like, guys, let's actually like have a sit down and let's talk, right? Let's talk about what actually happened back then in the hospital, and then the episode ends. and the season ends. And we're gonna see what happens in the next season. So overall, I'm happy with this episode. It did a good job of bringing Tsuruno closer to us, even though we haven't seen her for a long time now. It did a good job of tying multiple different parts together, even though Shaft's production is still a fucking travesty of how much of a shit show and how much of a mess it is. Shaft, what the fuck are you doing? They're gonna do this shit with the 4th movie as well. They're gonna fuck up Poke's no Kaiten as well, and I hope they don't, but they will probably, because Shaft is a train wreck. Shaft is an absolute train wreck posing as a company. That said, like I said, I did like this episode for the most part. What can I say about the entire season? I might make an entire video just about the entire season as a whole, but my TLDW of that probably will be something like, I liked what they did. I like how they rewrote a lot of the stuff from the game, but we still just needed more time, because we always need more time. But I still think it was a pretty good improvement over the first season. Shaft being Shaft kind of ruined a bunch of this season, but yeah. Overall, I'm still happy. And with the Blu-ray coming out at some point and hopefully finishing a lot of these episodes, at least in the future, we can just tell people, watch the Blu-ray version, and we don't have to tell anyone to watch the TV version, and we're gonna be fine. That was that. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys next time.